In the past 3 or 4 years, we've had lots of changes and reviews as they look to see whether we should stay open and how we might operate, given that this is a school dedicated to Koori students. And when we began working with the bike project, we had a lot of primary students. We had about 25 primary students, and things have changed a little bit now. We have lots of kids coming in and out of school who are disengaged, and we found...
And it's only a secondary school now from years 7 to 10, so we no longer have our primary students here.
So what we found when we did it with the primary students was that the secondary disengaged kids were really interested. We had a couple who came over and helped the kids, and it was in fact a real tool of engagement for those kids. So then we had discussions with Mark over time about continuing the program and giving those older kids who might be older but in fact they have a very interrupted school history, really low literacy and numeracy as a general rule, but this gives them a hands-on practical tool that lets them, I guess, engage in the work they do, and it lets us link in literacy and numeracy with it. One of the kids we had last term had no secondary school whatsoever. So he was 17 and he'd last gone to school when he was 10, 11. And it's a systemic failure that a kid could be allowed to float around in a country such as ours and not attend secondary school at all, but that's what happened. So, and he was one of the first ones to go over and start working with those younger kids, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It's a real area of interest.
Yeah. Last year, the program that we had about 12 or 13 students start, and then just because of attendance issues, there were a couple of them that didn't actually complete their bike project. But look, it was just an exciting thing to be involved with. The kids were obviously able to be successful right from the start. It wasn't one of those things where the pressure's on that they've got to, be up with everybody else. It was something that they could work at their own pace, but they could see that they were actually doing stuff all the time. So, and Mark and Kamal and Gemma's came last year a couple of times, but mostly the three guys, and there was another volunteer, and I've forgotten his name, blonde guy. But they were fantastic with the kids, really encouraging and quite relaxed, which is good because sometimes people don't always know how to work with kids that, mightn't fit the image or the mould or whatever. So we had 3 girls that were involved, and they chose to be involved, and they all got their bikes finished and painted pink and very pretty. And the peer tutoring and stuff that was going on was fabulous too, because some of those kids that are really good with their hands are the ones that probably succeed least in the classroom, and yet this project gave them the opportunity to be the ones that were the leaders and the mentors for the other kids. And there was a nice connection with the girls and the boys too, because the girls were doing the girly thing and weren't quite sure what to do with the tools and things, so that gave the boys another opportunity to show, oh, okay, we know what to do with this. And it was just one of those things that it was great to see, and to be involved in, because the kids just hung out for it. In fact, we had a few boys that were actually enrolled in a course over at TAFE on the Fridays, and they got shortened times, and they used to come back at lunchtime and say, oh, do we have to go back to TAFE? Can't we stay here with the bike program? So it was definitely...
Absolutely, the engagement was fabulous.
And I just think it really... Fridays could be a drop-off day because of, just social things that are going on and payday and all the rest of it, but we had really good attendance on Fridays, and the kids used to get really sort of upset if they realised that they had accidentally missed out on being here. Because they got left behind. And it fitted with those kids who we were trying to get the attendance improving, because it didn't matter what stage they came into the project. I think there were a couple of kids that hadn't been coming and then realised that this project was happening and then sort of started coming, and just the fact that other kids had already pulled their bikes to bits and were you know, painting or doing whatever they were doing didn't really matter because they could just slide in and slot in. So
yeah, I think the other part of the program that's been really beneficial, in particular in our setting, has been the link with the police and community people, that mentoring, the role modelling. The number of males in families for our students is, I think, nil. Thinking through.
Yeah, no, there's a couple now, Regan.
Oh yes, there is. There is. So that's quite true. There are two families who have a male adult in the family. The rest don't, and particularly for young boys, that makes it really difficult. We all know the research on that. So the opportunity to engage with male role models and, you know, Kamal and people from the community, Indigenous people, has been great.
Yeah.
But also with the police, because obviously in a setting like this there are lots of kids who have justice issues, and the police are often seen as the enemy, and this has given them a real way to connect in a positive sense with police, and they all are really excited to see Mark. And you know, it's not often you see young Koori kids who are on the sort of edge of society calling out to policemen and having conversations around, you know, a whole range of things. And I think that's probably a secondary but really important outcome, is that there's that positive link between students and the police.
Mm-hmm.